So, welcome to CalTV, sponsored by Calvary Robotics Advancing Automation. My name is Gemma, and I will be your host today. We have a really special guest today, one of my colleagues in special technology he's going to talk to you about. Please join me in welcoming Chris Grieve from one of our technology areas. Chris, welcome. Before we get started on the discussion we want to talk about in the technology, maybe tell us, our listeners who may not know you, a little about yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Joe, thanks. It's nice to be here. I've grown up here in Webster, New York, currently working at Calvary Robotics, been here for about 6 years, run the simulations and virtual reality department. Basically, what we do in my department is we support the sales and applications department by creating conceptual renderings and animations of the machines running at rate for sales proposals and marketing material.
Oh, that sounds pretty interesting. And certainly we've taken advantage of those technologies. So it's kind of a unique kind of background. Explain your path. What brought you to where you are now?
Okay, so I was kind of interested in drawing in high school, but not really like artistic, I guess you could say, more like mechanical stuff. And took drafting in high school and CAD in high school, kind of got my feet wet there. And then I ended up going to Alfred State College and took the drafting CAD technical illustration program there. So I graduated from there and ended up working in the industry and basically kind of evolved the role of a technical illustrator to what it is now. With the advent of 3D software, the technical illustrator job was kind of becoming obsolete because engineers could generate their own exploded drawings and instruction manuals and stuff from the solid models. Whereas with what we're using now, we're taking more of an artistic approach to it. So we'll take the engineering models and we'll add detail to them. We'll light them and shade them so they look hyper realistic and do what we do, create our images for our proposals and our animations.
So it sounds like you got a little bit of an educational background to get you to move you in that direction, but then you actually learned a little bit on the job as you went along.
Yeah. So when I went to college, we were doing renderings with airbrushes and stuff. I mean, it was the 3D stuff was out there, but a lot of companies hadn't transitioned to it yet. You're talking like 1997, 1998. And then, 5 or 6 years down the road, a lot of companies transitioned to this stuff and it became more affordable. So I kind of took the route of finding this kind of process and teaching it to myself.
Interesting. So, we hear a lot of people talk about some of those terms like animation and simulations and VR. And it's certainly interesting, I think, to our audience, and hopefully as they're listening in, they can learn a little bit more about this. So maybe explain from the Calvary perspective, what's that process of simulations in VR at Calvary? What does it mean for us?
So simulations is basically where we create our animated videos. So we'll take the 3D models from engineering, and sometimes we'll get no 3D models. We'll get like a sketch on a dry erase board, sometimes a paper napkin sketch, and then we'll build the geometry in the computer. You can kind of see some of the things playing on the monitor behind me. These are just samples of some of the animations that we've done. But we'll take that engineering data or create new data in more of a software that's traditionally used for video game and film and television visual effects.
So you take that proverbial napkin drawing and turn it into some kind of a reality perspective for people.
Right, and that's for the simulations part of it.
Right.
So then from there, we can leverage all the work that we've done animating and bring it into a video game engine to create VR applications.
Okay, so have many of our customers take advantage of the VR applications?
Yeah, there's been a few. The hard part about that is that they have to be on site here to see it because we have to have the sensors, and I'm actually sitting in the VR room right now. So not every one of them do, but we have done quite a bit of it.
So for the benefit of the listeners, we have that capability, technology on site there in-house that they can take advantage of then.
Yeah, absolutely. There was actually one instance where we were doing a design approval for a job, and we basically built the whole thing in VR, and they did the design approval all day. These guys they were out on the shop floor. We brought the rig out to the shop floor, and they were doing the wearing the goggles, and they did the whole design approval process through that. And they actually found some ergonomic issues that they wouldn't have found until they actually started manufacturing. So it saved a bunch of money in change orders, and it worked out really well.
So it brought some other practical benefits to the process. So what's the value add of simulations and VR to our customers?
Yeah. So basically, a lot of times when we go out to bid the jobs, the person making the decision is in the purchasing department, and they usually don't have a lot of experience probably reading CAD drawings and whatnot. So what we provide them is a video that is hyper realistic, showing how the machine runs and functions at the rate that it's supposed to, doing every process that it needs to. And they can actually see what they're going to buy before it's engineered and designed and built.
So it actually even works at the rate. It's not like a sped up version.
No.
So it really works at the rate that they should expect to see on their floor.
Yeah, and there are instances sometimes where you can speed it up, and we'll do like a time lapse, because some certain processes are take minutes, where somebody doesn't want to sit there and watch a 25-minute video to show
The whole
something. So there are instances where we'll like do time lapse and cut, fade, and whatever. But for the most part, we can make anything run at the real speeds that it's going to speed or run, and animate it that way.
That's interesting information, because there's some flexibility to it too that I didn't realize. So I'm sure our listeners will benefit from that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you talk about the addition of virtual reality to Calvary and how that's changed our business?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great tool. Like I said, there's the nuance of the customer has to be here. It's not something we can build and send them via email and whatnot. But it does help get a good perspective of what's going on in the machine, and people can see it and walk through it. You can actually, look at the gripper fingers moving and actuating and picking parts and walk through the guarding.
Mm.
It's definitely a great tool to have in our arsenal, for sure.
And so it gives the customer a little more level of confidence of what they're going to have, because they can actually work through their own factory.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So now it's a very dynamic technology world we're living in today, and certainly you're on the technology side. How do you keep up with this ever evolving dynamic technologies in your field?
Well, we're constantly always doing research, and we're constantly learning, because things change rapidly and so fast. So, something you did for a project, a year ago may not be the best way to do it now. So, in my department, I encourage everybody to do as much research as possible, learn as much as you can, and just stay on up to date with the current trends and what's going on.
And I'm sure your department shares what they're learning with each other. So that's a great way to kind of expand what you learn. You mentioned something previously too about email, and while virtual reality isn't something you can email, but the simulations or animations you do, can you transfer those through email technologies or file transfer?
Excuse me. Typically, some of the videos are too large to actually be through email. So what we'll do is we'll Dropbox them or FTP them that way. Some of them are short enough and small enough where we can, send an email. But for the most part, they're usually like FTP'd or Dropbox.
Okay, so the customer can see it without having to come to Calvary. We can share.
Correct. Yeah. And then also from these animations, we can generate images that actually go into the sales proposal. So it helps document the actual quote.
And it gives a 3D image right in the document. So nice.
Yeah.
Good. And I guess even in things like, what we're doing, video type of communications like we're doing now, in a go-to meeting, we would be able to even show it on the screen so we could share it that way too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good. Okay, so you've done a lot in this area, certainly supported the company, helped our growth in that way, and this technology has been a nice tool for our customers. What would you say are some of your greatest achievements or success stories for you and your team or your department have had to date?
One thing comes to mind, and it was I think probably one of the first things I did when I came to work at Calvary, and it was for a customer, and it was kind of, the customer was on site and they were doing kind of review processes and making changes daily. So the applications engineer would come to me and be like, all right, they want to change this. Can you modify it? So I would make the modifications, and then we would re-render it overnight. And then the next morning we'd come in and we have a video of it. The final video actually got shown, I think, to the CEO of the company, and he couldn't understand why he couldn't buy the one he was watching in the video. So
it was so real to him.
Right. So not only did we win the work because we did our good job that we always do, but he gave me one of the best comments I can get as an artist because he didn't know it was fake.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, we all try to look at what's the future, and we talk about technology is so dynamic at this point. So what do you see in fact, your department, your role 5 years from now?
I'm probably going to still be doing what I'm doing. I enjoy being a working manager. I definitely am in the trenches with the guys and learning constantly and advancing. Definitely would like to see the group get bigger, though. It'd be nice to maybe double the size in 5 years.
Good. Well, your help in growing our business will probably dictate that'll happen. So thanks for what you're doing there to help us.
No problem. Anytime.
So now we're gonna, as we close out, maybe some people want to get in touch with Calvary about how to use these tools. What's the best avenue for them to reach out to Calvary Robotics to take advantage of us as an organization and take advantage of the tools that you have available to help them see what their factory could look like?
I would say just reach out to account managers and we go from there.
Good. Well, we'll certainly try to help them. And well, thank you again, Chris, for being here today. It's really exciting stuff you're doing. It's energizing for all of us. And I know our customers will continue to take advantage of it. And certainly, hopefully, more customers will take advantage as we go forward. Thanks again for spending your time. For our listeners, we appreciate you tuning in, and we look forward to the next version of the Calvary TV, CalTV. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Thanks, Chris.